So today, if you're tuning in, we're going to be working on the Cadette Babysitter Badge. If you're not a Girl Scout and don't know what cadet level is, it's 6th through 8th grade. But anyone joining, you don't have to be in that grade. You can just learn more about babysitting. I'm going to be going over steps 1, 2, and 3. And then steps 4 and 5, you'll be able to do on your own. And I'm just going to give you some tips and tricks for all of them. So with the babysitter badge, there are 5 steps. And those are, step 1 is to get to know how kids develop. Step 2 is to prepare for challenges. Step 3 is to focus on play. Step 4 is to find potential employers. And then 5 is to practice your babysitting skills. Ideas. So I decided with step 1, I was going to put step 3 with it. And step 1 again was get to know how kids develop. And then step 3 is focus on play. So I'm going to go through each age level and then say what kind of games or toys you could play with that age level. So to start off, I have some notes I have to look at. Kids of different ages develop differently, and they all have different needs, desires, and behaviors. And there's actually a quote that I took from the Cadet Girls Handbook from 1963, and I thought this was just like a really good quote to share. It says, "All children, no matter their age, have 3 things in common. They need understanding, good physical care, and protection." So I think something like no matter what child you're dealing with, always remember just protect them and keep them safe. So top priority when you're babysitting is you and the children that you're babysitting is staying safe. And that's always remember that. So to get started, we're going to start with the age level of infants. So infants are anything under a year old, so 0 to 12 months. And with that age level, they rely completely on you. So when you're babysitting an infant, you need to be watching them at all times. Make sure you're always supporting them. So some of the things that go with an infant are they like to cry and babble, and that's their way of communicating. So sometimes when they're crying, it could be a sign that their diaper needs change. They may be hungry. They need to go to sleep, but also babies just cry to communicate how they're feeling. At this time, a lot of infants will put things in their mouth. So if you are babysitting a baby, always make sure to not have anything around them that they could choke on, and always watch and see what they're putting in their mouths. Another thing is they might be able to crawl, so always keep an eye on what they're going towards, and just always keep a constant eye on them because they're just a little baby and they need your support in any way. Another thing is they'll start to grasp objects, so always make sure everything's out of reach that doesn't need to be out of reach. So some of the things that you could do with an infant that you're watching is they like books. You could read a book to them. They like little baby dolls, teething rings, games that have a lot of stimulation and color and music. They like to sing songs and everything like that. So in the comments, if you want to write something that you think an infant would like to play with, go ahead and do that. So an infant is 0 to 12 months. Go ahead and comment what you think an infant would like to play with. As I mentioned, they're not really able to talk clearly and everything, but they like bright colors and sounds and everything like that. Another thing is they have a short attention span, so it's constantly doing things to keep them entertained. And they like soft noises. So let's see if anyone says an easy puzzle. Yeah, big. I know that infants like big puzzle blocks that you could play with. Just make sure that they aren't putting that. If they're really small, make sure they're not putting it in their mouth. Stuffed animals. Stuffed animals is a great one. You could do like a little dance with a stuffed animal, something like that. A bouncing baby chair, a baby swing. And a lot of great comments. Kelly said they love to play with the string shoes. That is true. Rattles, yep. Rattles are a good one, yep. Great, thank you. Toy keys, yep. So there's plenty to play with an infant, but just be careful what you're letting them, and always keep your eye on them. So next age level we're going to move to is toddlers. And toddlers are 1 to 2 years old. Toddlers tend to be able to do more than an infant can do. They can start to talk. They're actually maybe walking, and they're constantly moving around. And they also have a short attention span. You might hear a lot like the crazy toddlers, the terrible twos and everything, because they're all moving around and they are just interested and curious about what's going on. So they may be able to feed themselves at this time. They might want to scribble with a crayon or a marker. They might be able to understand more of what you're saying and actually have a conversation with the toddler. So some of the things that you could do with a toddler may be coloring. You could do bubbles. You could also play with like balls and do musical instruments like the drums and things like that. But toddlers are going to start working on, dressing themselves, feeding themselves, and they're able to do more. But like an infant, a toddler needs to be watched as well, because they like to get into things and they're just curious about everything that's going on around them. So, yeah, Francis said ring around Rosie when they're walking. Blocks are really good with toddlers. Yes, lift the flat book. That's a good one with infants and toddlers. When I worked in a daycare, I was actually in the toddler room, and they like to just experiment with different things like putting things in water, playing with little animal figurines and making up little stories with them. Dress up. Lorena said dress up. So feel free to comment what you think a toddler would like to play with. And remember, toddlers are able to move around more. You can talk more. And this is 1 to 2 years old. Puppets is a great one. They can put on a puppet show, or you can put on a puppet show with them. Another thing you could do while babysitting is actually make a puppet out of a sock or paper bag with them, and then have a puppet show. So the next age group I'm going to go on to is, how many notes? Is preschoolers. So preschoolers are 3 to 4 years old. They are on the move. As I said, with toddlers, they're on the move. They're exploring just like that. They're usually potty training at this time. If not already as a toddler, they're definitely potty training as a preschooler. So if you are going to babysit someone who's potty training, make sure you communicate with the parents on what they're doing with potty training, if they're getting any reward, or the words that they're using when potty training. Just something to keep in mind if you are babysitting that age group. Another thing is they like to act independent. So they may want to do things more by themselves and they don't want your help, which is fine because they're learning these things all by themselves. So it may be they want to brush their teeth by themselves. They may want to do a lot of things on their own. Another thing might be they have very strong likes and dislikes, and they'll make sure you know that. So just learning to be patient with a preschooler, because they're also getting, they may be going to preschool. So they're just now getting into like that socialization around them with school and everything. And then they may ask a lot of questions and just answer them to the best that you can. And another thing is I see with preschoolers, they may have a hard time sharing because they are just learning that with school and everything, and just being patient with that and taking turns. One of the things I always like to do if kids are fighting over something, sharing, which you may come across if you're watching siblings or multiple children with sharing, is to maybe take turns to set a timer and have one take it a certain time and then the other take it a certain time. That always works, saying like, oh, you get it for 5 minutes and then it's so-and-so's turn. That always works. So if you want to go in the comments and think of things that you could do with a preschooler, go ahead and put that in there. So I'm seeing puzzle board games. So with the preschool, you can start doing those board games. There's plenty of board games out there that you could do, like Candyland, I saw in the comments. What else? Some preschoolers. As I said, building duplex. Oh, oops, I messed that up. Building blocks. Yeah, Robin said she has preschoolers at her church and love to play on the kitchen. Yeah, make believe play. I think that I have a niece in the preschool age, and they have a little kitchen, and she loves like making food for me, everything. And you could play like kitchen hours with a young kid and just have them make whatever you want to play restaurant, and that's always I love playing that. You could do a dance party. I love dance parties. Connect board, that's a board game to play with them. Jenga. You can also play like Legos at this age because they're probably familiar with that, and you don't worry about any choking hazards. Oh yes, Jamie said make a fort. I feel like preschoolers would love that. And they are learning ABCs and everything, so you can do things with like the alphabet or numbers. Feel free to keep commenting so everyone else can see these suggestions and ideas. And while you're watching this and you want ideas for when you start babysitting, or if you already are, feel free to take notes on some of these. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the next age level. And then we have, after preschoolers, which was 3 to 4 years old, we have young kids with 5 to 7 years old. So they're pretty much independent at this age. They're going to school regularly. They may ask you still a lot of questions, still learning what sharing is. You need to like be patient and advise if there's any like sibling fighting going on like that, and just stepping in when needed. They may challenge you though. That's the only thing is with them being older, they may say, well, my mom said that we could do this, or I don't want to do this because blah, blah, blah. So you may get more challenging with that age, and always just go with what the parent tells you to do and never let them tweak the rules for you. So just standing your ground and knowing that you are the babysitter and you are the one that the parents put in charge. Another thing is they're able to talk to you a lot and communicate, which is great. And so you always know what they want or need. And then a great thing with young kids is active play. So definitely getting outside, like I've seen before, doing frisbee, jump rope, tag. All those games are great for young kids 5 to 7 years old. Do some outside, going on walks. Yeah, I kind of went through all the age levels and what they like to play with. Part of the guidelines for the badge are you can go ahead and take a babysitting course. I did put in the event description a couple courses that I found through SAFER and then the American Red Cross. And those are great if you were to become a babysitter and write out your qualifications. You could say that you took that course. So we're going to go ahead and go on to step 2, which is prepare for challenges. So like I said before, you can always go on and read up on the Red Cross, things for like first aid and CPR and things like that. I know they offer some online courses as well. And I know there's probably YouTube videos out there, but make sure you're getting your parent permission to watch those. And if you are interested in watching any child observation videos to learn more about how kids interact, I did put a link down there from the Department of Health and Human Services, but just make sure you're getting permission from your parents to watch those. So as we're talking about preparing for challenges, one of the key components with babysitting is communicating with the parents. So in the comments, I want you to write a question you think you would ask a parent before babysitting. What is something that you would want to know before you babysat a child? I know one of the most important things is allergies. That's probably my top thing, but let me see what else you guys have. And I'm going to give you a few ways to remember what to ask. Yes, do they have any allergies? That's a big one. So I'll share your note. What is the bedtime? Good one. How old are they? Yes, as we just went over all the age levels and what they can play with, you definitely want to know their age level. Elise said how many kids? Yes. Also go into how much you might get paid depending on how many kids there are, and working out pay is just something that you talk with parent and also talk to other babysitters around and see what they're getting paid. It kind of depends on the area. Does your child have any medical needs? Yes. What time to feed them? Nap time, bedtime, the rules of the house. Yes. Foods and dislikes. This is great. So one way that I remember it is through the acronym BEST. So B stands for their bedtime. So you want to know what time their bedtime is, their nap time, and make sure they're all ready to go by that time. And then E is for entertainment. Kind of shows, are they allowed to watch? Are they allowed to get any screen time? What kind of things keep them entertained? And then S is for snacks or meals. So what kind of foods do they like or dislike? What foods are you allowed to give them? How much food are they allowed to give them? Things like that. And then T stands for toileting. So are they able to go to the bathroom on their own? Do they need help? Where are their diapers located? Where are their wipes located? If you need an extra pair of clothes to put on them, where is that located? And of course, do they have to take any medicine? Are there any allergies? And if they do have any allergies and it's a severe allergic reaction, where is their EpiPen and things to do with in case something would happen? And then another thing I would ask a parent is any tips on behavior or to comfort them. So maybe the parent does a certain thing that seems to calm down their child or something that works that may happen if they have a temper tantrum. So let's see if they have any disabilities. Yes. Yeah. Another question is, do they have any pets in the house? How are you supposed to take care of those pets if you're in the house with the children? What time will they get picked up? Great. So I actually found this parent form that you can fill out before you babysit a child. Let me find it really quick. Okay. So you guys can see this. It's a parent form. You definitely want to know emergency numbers, including the parents' numbers, and then another point of contact that you can contact the parents wouldn't answer. And then you also want to know the fire, the police, a neighbor that you call just in case. Always be prepared and have this written down in case you need that. Another, Linda, thanks for reminding me that. Where is the first aid kit? That's another thing to remember. Where's the first aid kit located? Where are the Band-Aids? Like that in case that happens while you're babysitting. And then another thing that you would want to ask the parent is, how would you like me to answer the phone or door? You shouldn't be answering the door to anyone unless the parent tells you a certain one is coming. But I would keep the doors locked at all times while you're in bed, and you shouldn't answer the door to any random strangers or let them in. But always check with the parent to see if anyone's coming, such as a grandparent or maybe an aunt or uncle to drop something off. But under those circumstances, always double check with the parents if you can, if they want you even answering the door to them at all. So use great caution with that, and maybe call the parent if someone's knocking on the door just to double check. Let me look. Oh, another great question, Bella says, do they have any homework? Yes, sometimes the parents may want you to do the homework with the kids, so make sure you're just taking notes and know what you have to do. Once you get into a routine, you'll remember everything you have to do. And then We mentioned first aid, maybe knowing where the cleaning supplies are in case there's a mess or a spill and you have to clean that up. And then maybe knowing how to work the microwave, the television, anything like that. And just keeping track of how much screen time they get. And I think, okay, now we're going to go on to specific challenges that you may encounter while babysitting. I've seen a couple comments about what if this happens, what if that. So I did ask a couple people that I know that work with children and who have babysat a lot, what the most common problems they run into while babysitting. And one of the top ones was not going to bed at their specific bedtime. And I just saw that in the comments, like they won't go to bed at their bedtime. So one way to deal with that is maybe saying, well, if you go to bed, we can read a story and you can pick out a story, or we can read 2 stories. And then it's time to go to bed. They get the choice to pick out a story, and then they get a little bit more time with you reading. And that's one way. And just to go over the rules, like, well, your mom or dad said you needed to be in bed by this time, and just reminding them. Another thing I do with my nieces is like, well, once you go to bed and wake up, your mom and dad will be here. So usually it's just reminding them, and just keep doing it until eventually they'll just get really tired and hopefully go to bed. Another thing is siblings, when they're fighting, how to resolve that. And as I mentioned earlier, just taking that time to maybe have a timeout, or taking turns, or just taking away the toy completely and saying, if we can't share it, then we can't play with it. But some of the things to keep in mind with any age group in dealing with behavior problems is always provide comfort. So for example, maybe the child that you're watching maybe wakes up from a nightmare and they're really scared and they just want their mom or dad. Just going in there, maybe giving them a little hug, their favorite stuffed animal, and telling her everything's okay, and just providing that comfort if they're feeling a little sad or missing their mom and dad. And then another thing is to distract, or I like to say redirect a child if they're having some kind of temper tantrum or not getting their way, maybe offering up something else instead. So say the mother or father is leaving and they're getting really sad, and maybe hurry up and distracting them with like a cool, fun toy that you brought over while the parent is leaving. That could distract them. Let's see. And then allow choices, like I mentioned. Kids love to get choices, so always offering different things that they want to do. And it can be acceptable choices on what game they want to play, the snacks that they're able to have, what they want to do next. And if anything, always make a game out of something that you're doing. Maybe you have to clean up the toys before mom or dad gets home. Maybe make it a race, or I'm going to clean up this half of the room and you clean up that half of the room. Let's see who finishes first. So it all depends on how the children react. And then another tip is when and then is what I call it. If, say, so with the book example, it's like when you go to bed, then we get to read your favorite book, or when you put your toys away, then we get to play this other game. So if they do something, then they get to do something else that's more fun, or something that they want to do. And the last tip I have for behavior management is always take a break or start over. So if they're if they're not listening or anything, or playing roughly with a toy, take the toy away for a little bit, put it up and say, we're going to take a break for 5 minutes, and then we'll start over with the toy, and hopefully it goes better, and just keep doing that. And if they can't, then just put the toy away and play something else. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and just give some tips and tricks since we're running low on time on steps 4 and 5. So step 4 is find potential employers. So when you are looking to be a babysitter and make some money, definitely don't post your full name, address anywhere online or on a flyer in community spaces. Definitely reach out to your neighbors, your church, your community centers, people that your parents know to find some babysitting jobs. So I wouldn't be posting online like, my name is, well, I live here and I'm looking to babysit. That's not safe. Just kind of communicate with your parent that you want to start babysitting and they can help you out, and maybe talk to some people in your neighborhood or at your church and things like that. I know it's a little hard to babysit right now considering we're all at home, but I know I did see online that some people are virtually babysitting for like an hour. So if that's an option, you just get online with some kids and maybe do a fun craft or a game right now, and that could be a way to enhance your babysitting skills. And when you are looking for potential babysitting jobs, make sure you know what you want to babysit. Like maybe you feel more comfortable babysitting older children. Maybe you feel more comfortable babysitting just one child versus 3. Just kind of know what you feel comfortable with and start off there and kind of enhance your skills as you get older and the more you babysit kids. So then for our last step, which is step 5, practice your babysitting skills. Like I said before, it's kind of hard to practice them right now. Like I suggested, like a virtual hour where you do a game or craft with some kids. But when you do start babysitting in person, always come prepared. Come with a toy or a game, your favorite toy or a game, bring your favorite board game, bring a ball from your house, something like that. You can also bring a fun craft that you like to do. If you have a color book at home or a craft that you've done in art class or school that you think you could do there, feel free to do that. Another thing to do when you're babysitting is make them a fun snack that they're able to have. So before you go and babysit, make sure you know those allergies and the foods that they're allowed to have. So it could be an easy snack you're able to make and bring with you. And I think the kids would get really excited to see you bringing something with them.